So Constructivism. What is Constructivism? The term Constructivism, according to Professor George E. Hein, refers to the idea that learners construct knowledge for themselves. Each learner individually and socially constructs meaning as he or she learns. Another way of describing it, according to Tucker S., Constructivism, a high-level pedagogy that encompasses several pedagogies and learning theories in the practice of teaching students. Constructivism is where students are more engaged in the learning process, working in groups, the social interaction of applying their knowledge, and adding new information on previous knowledge, building on what they already know. Allowing students to apply what they have learned into action and everyday life, actively taking on board what is being taught instead of being passively spoken at like they would in a behaviourist classroom. It's kind of like building a house. The teacher provides the frameworks and the knowledge, and the students build the bricks and the house. Teaching in this way, according to John A., allows one's interest or intrinsic motivation to do such thinking or learning. Learning by making, using real-life application. When you engage yourself on a physical level, on a practical level, the learner will feel more involved in his own learning process, and that's when learning occurs. Skills like ICT is something that cannot be passively learned. ICT is hands-on, it's a tool, it's innovating. It requires a level of engagement that just does not work in your everyday classroom. You can't teach someone how to use Photoshop or how to code just by the word of mouth. It doesn't work like that. There needs to be some sort of engagement between the teacher at the front of the class and the students in the class. Applying this allows students to think outside the box, discover things for themselves, and want to learn, expanding their interests to be curious thinkers of the modern age. Nickerson R. demonstrates this approach in his reflection of his first years of teaching about one of his first visits as a guest teacher in school and how he brought discovery science and creative thinking into the lab. Students were given a battery, 2 wires and a bulb. The task was simple. Try and make the light bulb light up. He notes the kids were fascinated, totally engaged. How would one do this? At the end of the experiment, he notes that these kids would go home and they would look at lamps and cords and things behind their walls in their homes in an entirely new way. Examples like this is about creating environments in school where students would bring home what they have learnt in school into their homes. Wondering how things work, being aware of what's in front of them, craving to know more, to learn more, and be curious about the world around them. However, there are implications for teachers that take on this constructivist approach in the classroom. Teachers need to be more knowledgeable and be prepared to answer more complex questions. They need to do their homework before they come to class and teach. And ensure students need to understand what they've been taught. Not every child has the same background, the same standard of education that everyone else has in the class. Everyone learns individually, and the process and to acquire new information are different ways. The teacher needs to be aware of this and be prepared to build upon different levels of understanding. As Bazzani J. and Peters S. notes, it is our role as teachers to help students develop the skills to problem solve independently. Yet not all students are independent learners that are self-motivated to learn, to discover things, and they may struggle to learn without active interaction or motivation from the teacher. So it's the teacher's job to make sure students are followed up and act actually actively learning. However, this can be limited by time and resources. Nevertheless, constructivism in the classroom allows one to bring creative and collaborative learning in the classroom. In high school, I had a teacher where he had a deck of cards, and what he did is he wrote on each deck of cards a person's name, and this allowed for anyone in the classroom to be involved. Like, it didn't stop people raising their hands or feeling like they're being picked on to answer questions. What he would do, everyone would have a chance. So he would pull out a name, and it would be John, for example. And what we'll do is we'll go over the class content, and we'll do what we had to do. My subject was in English language, and then when it came to ask a question about what we've just done, the person was ready to answer. They felt prepared, and it gave everyone a chance to be involved in the class and feel like they've been involved. And not only did that in the classroom, also he gave us tasks. So for example, when we were travelling, seeing signage, how English language is in the world around us, how the purpose in a text is trying to meet the eyes of the user, the reader, it involved everything, where we were trying to look for things, discovering, and it stopped us from zoning out and being too shy to ask questions. Whilst this may be one of the many methods to bring constructivism into the teaching, it still outlines how constructivism is a better way, a more engaging way to teach in the classroom, rather than having students passively listening where they don't bother to think or further or extend their minds.